Welcome back to The Mind, a podcast series by the Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre, New Zealand. A conversation at the meeting point of modern science and the contemplative traditions of yoga and Vedanta. I'm Rama, your host. Last time, the group learned to take hold of attention, the one lever truly in our hands. But a restless mind makes holding it hard work. Today, they discover what makes steadiness stop being a struggle. 3 principles that move any system from scattered noise toward tuned clarity. Resonance, when one rhythm catches another. Rhythm, the steady beat that stabilizes everything. And coherence, when the scattered parts of you finally pull in one direction. Together, they explain why a calm person can settle a whole room, why a regular routine heals, and why a mind in harmony with itself feels effortless. Resonance, rhythm, and coherence. Let's join them. The same room, a clear evening. There's a sense of a group that has been meeting a while and trusts each other now.
Last time the practice was to take hold of the beam. What did you find when you tried to aim your own attention?
The watch the hand on the torch thing got me. I saw in real time the feed grabbing my attention. Didn't always stop it, but seeing it was new, and once I put the phone down and just breathed, on purpose.
I caught the forecast a few times. They're upset with me. And turned back to the actual child in front of me. The actual child was usually fine. It was my prediction that was upset.
I used the sequence with a very low patient. Gentle movement first to lift the energy and only then any attention work. It landed far better than trying to talk him into a brighter outlook. Order mattered, exactly as we said.
I chose spotlight or floodlight on purpose for a whole day. Exhausting to keep choosing, but I was far less scattered. Which leaves me with a question. Holding the beam steady is real work. Is it always going to be this effortful?
That is precisely today's question, James, and the answer is no. There are conditions under which steadiness stops being a fight and starts carrying you. 3 of them. Let's meet the first.
Go on, because right now, steadiness feels like constant pushing.
Then let's start with pushing, James, the most familiar example there is. You're pushing a child on a swing. If you shove hard at random moments, you mostly fight the swing and tire yourself out. But if you give a small push at exactly the right moment in each arc, in time with the swing's own rhythm, the arc grows and grows, on almost no effort. That's resonance. When your rhythm matches the thing's own rhythm, a tiny input produces a huge effect.
And mistimed, even a big effort does almost nothing.
Almost nothing. Sometimes worse than nothing. And this is a law that runs through everything, not just swings. It's how a radio works. You turn the dial until the receiver's rhythm matches the station's, and suddenly the music pours in clear, while all the other stations stay silent. It's even why soldiers are told to break step crossing certain bridges, because if their marching happens to match the bridge's own natural rhythm, those small footfalls can build a sway big enough to be dangerous. Match the frequency, and energy flows.
And the mind?
The mind has its own rhythms too, Sarah, and here's the part that matters for daily life. You're always resonating with something. Sit for an hour beside someone steady and calm, and you'll feel yourself settle toward steady and calm. Sit beside someone agitated and fearful, and you'll feel yourself pulled toward agitation, often without a word exchanged. You cannot switch resonance off. You can only choose what you place yourself near.
That's a bit alarming, honestly. So my mood is partly just whoever I've been standing next to.
More than most people realize, Kai, which is why it's worth choosing on purpose. But there's a skill that protects you, becoming sharply tuned rather than loosely open to everything. Think of the difference between a fine tuning fork and a slack string. The fork answers powerfully to its own true note and ignores the rest. A scattered mind is like a loose string buzzing at every passing sound. The contemplative practices, steadying attention, clear discernment, are exactly the training that makes you the fork. Powerfully responsive to what's true and worth your energy, and largely unmoved by what's trivial or false. That isn't coldness, it's selectivity earned through practice.
So I'm not stuck being a loose string. I can get more tuned.
You can, and most of this module has been teaching you how. A scattered mind resonates with everything and is mastered by everything. A tuned mind chooses its note.
You can probably tell I've not slept properly in weeks. Is that relevant here, or am I just tired?
It's deeply relevant, Kai, because the second principle is rhythm, and sleep is one of your most important ones. Rhythm is simply steady, regular time. Your heart keeps it. Your breath keeps it. Sleep and waking keep it. So do the seasons, the tides, the whole living world. And your body is built to run in rhythm. When you fight your rhythms, erratic sleep, meals at all hours, nights turned to days, there's a real and measurable cost to mood and health over time. It isn't weakness. It's a system being asked to run against its own design.
That's me described. So what, I just sleep more?
That's a real part of it. And here's the encouraging side. Aligning with rhythm pays back fast. Slow your breath to about 6 gentle breaths a minute, longer out than in, for just a few minutes, and your body shifts measurably toward calm. One simple rhythm, deliberately steadied, can change your whole state in a short time. This is why the older cultures built daily routines so carefully, regular times for rising, eating, resting, practicing. Not fussiness. A steady rhythm is the stable floor that everything finer has to stand on. A jittery foundation can't hold a quiet mind.
That maps onto my children completely. The days fall apart when the rhythm does. Missed meals, late nights. Get the rhythm back and they steady, almost on their own.
Almost on their own, Sarah, because you're not forcing calm, you're restoring the beat that calm rides on. And the 3 qualities we keep meeting, the gunas, are really 3 kinds of rhythm. A steady, harmonious beat where things flow and thought, feeling and action keep time together. That's sattva. A fast, erratic overactivity, stimulated but never settling, racing with no steady pulse. That's rajas. And a collapsed, heavy slowness, a beat so sluggish it's almost inert. That's tamas, which looks like rest but is really stuckness. The steady practices, a repeated word, steady posture, even breathing, all do one thing first. They restore a healthy beat.
This is, quietly, half of what actually helps in my practice, and I can now say why. Regular sleep, regular meals, a slow breath. I sometimes feel almost embarrassed prescribing something so plain. But you're saying rhythm itself is the medicine.
Rhythm itself is medicine, doctor, and there's nothing embarrassing in it. It's among the most powerful things you can offer. A system in steady rhythm is stable and resilient. Small knocks don't capsize it. A system with no reliable rhythm is fragile, and the smallest thing tips it into chaos. Before any subtle work, give a struggling person back their rhythm, and you've already done a great deal.
Here's mine, and it's a confession. So often I'm thinking one thing, feeling another, and doing a third, all at once. And it is utterly exhausting, even when I've barely done anything.
You've just described the absence of the third principle, Sarah, and named exactly why it drains you. The third principle is coherence, whether the parts of you are pulling together or pulling apart. Let me give you the clearest picture in all of physics. Take an ordinary light bulb and a laser. They can pour out the very same amount of energy. The bulb scatters its light every which way, all directions, all jumbled, and you get a soft, modest glow. The laser lines every single light wave up, all in step, all pulling the same way, and that same energy becomes a beam that can cut through steel. Same energy, completely different power. The only difference is whether the waves are in step.
And I've been living as a light bulb.
We mostly do, Sarah, and feel the tiredness of it. When your thinking says one thing, your feeling pulls another way, and your actions go a third. You're scattering your energy in all directions like the bulb, working hard and lighting almost nothing. But when thought, feeling, and action line up, when you think clearly, feel honestly, and act in accord with both, the inner fighting stops. Energy stops leaking, and you feel strangely powerful even at a hard task, because nothing in you is working against you. That lined-up state has a name we've met: sattva. The old phrase is the unity of thought, word, and deed.
I feel the difference in teaching exactly. The lessons that exhaust me are the ones where I'm performing one thing and feeling another. The ones that energize me are when all of it is pointing the same way.
Because the second kind is laser and the first is bulb, James, same effort, utterly different result. And there's a deeper payoff, tying back to everything we've built. Remember the beat, that flicker between your version of things and what's actually there. As your inner parts come into step, that flicker slows. You stop oscillating between your projection and reality and start meeting what's actually in front of you. The coherent mind doesn't just feel better, it sees more truly, because it's no longer at war with itself enough to distort the view.
So coherence isn't only a pleasant inner state, it's a clearer instrument. The aligned mind is also the more accurate one.
Both at once, Doctor. Line up the waves, and the same life becomes brighter and truer, on no extra energy at all.
Here is something I see and have never explained. One calm person can settle an entire frightened room, and one panicking person can set a calm room off. How does a state jump between people like that?
Through the first principle again, Doctor, resonance, now between nervous systems. Put two rhythms near each other, and they tend to fall into step. It's true of pendulums on a shelf, and it's true of people. Sit with someone genuinely steady, and within minutes, your breath slows toward theirs. Your body settles toward theirs, often with nothing said. This is why wise company was treated, in every contemplative tradition, not as a pleasant extra, but as one of the most reliable supports there is. A person trying to find clarity among scattered, fearful minds is swimming upstream. The same person sitting regularly with a steady, truthful mind finds their own mind quietly shifting. No force required.
That actually explains friend groups. Some people I leave feeling clear, others I leave feeling churned up, and it's nothing they did exactly.
Nothing they did, just the frequency they carry, Kai, which you caught. And since you're always in training to something, choosing your company and what you pour into your ears and eyes is not a small or superficial thing. It's one of the most practical spiritual decisions you make. There's also a way to tune yourself from the inside, deliberately rehearsing a feeling tone you want to grow, real warmth, real steadiness, returning to it daily until your system rests there on its own. When a devotee sings to a beloved image with feeling, that's what they're really doing, tuning their own being to a quality, courage or compassion or peace until it becomes native.
And does this work with a whole group? Because a room full of people can have a real atmosphere.
It works powerfully with groups, Sarah, and the old cultures knew it precisely. People who chant, move, and intend together lock into one shared field. Their breathing aligns, their attention fuses, and the room takes on a palpable frequency none of them had alone. There's a hymn in the Rig Veda, 4,000 years old, that is essentially a recipe for it. Move together, speak together, let your minds be of one accord, let your hearts be one. But here's the necessary caution, and it's why discernment must always walk alongside. The group field amplifies whatever is put into it. A gathering centered on truth and kindness lifts everyone. A crowd swept by fear or rage can carry decent people into things they'd never do alone. The power is real and neutral. What matters is what you let it amplify.
So even community itself, the right community, is a treatment. Rhythm, a calm presence, and a coherent group, these aren't soft extras around the real medicine. In many cases, they are the medicine.
Very often they are the heart of it, Doctor, and they cost little and harm no one. Give a struggling person steady rhythm, steady company, and a coherent circle to belong to, and you have changed the field their mind lives in. Much else becomes possible from there. This week, work with the 3 principles directly. Choose a resonance, steady a rhythm, and bring your parts into step. Sarah, pick one rhythm to protect. A regular wind down, or 3 minutes of slow 6-a-minute breathing, and hold it daily. And once before a hard conversation, check your own coherence. Are my words, my feeling, and my intention pointing the same way? Notice how differently it goes when they do.
One protected rhythm and a coherence check before the hard talks. Yes.
James, you are the steadiest wave in your classroom, whether you mean to be or not. At one tense moment this week, deliberately steady your own breath and presence first, and watch whether the room entrains toward you rather than you toward it.
Be the steady wave on purpose and watch the room catch it. I'll try it.
Kai, protect one rhythm, sleep above all, even a little. And this week simply notice which people and which feeds leave you clearer and which leave you churned, and let that information guide where you spend your hours. You're choosing your resonance either way. Choose it awake.
Guard my sleep and notice who and what tunes me up or down. That I can actually observe.
And Dr. Watson, 3 things, each ordinary and powerful. Prescribe rhythm to one dysregulated patient as real medicine, regular sleep, meals, a slow breath, and say plainly that it is medicine. Be the calm, resonant presence in one consultation and notice the room settle. And where you can, point a patient toward a steady community, since belonging to a coherent circle is itself part of the healing.
Prescribe rhythm, be the calm presence, and treat community as part of the cure. I'll bring back what I see.
Then we've learned how steadiness stops being a fight. Resonance, rhythm, and coherence carry it for you. Next time we go to the ground all of this rests on, the body and the breath, where the energy comes from and where the noise so often begins.
So today, 3 principles that turn steadiness from a struggle into something that carries you. Resonance. Match a rhythm and a tiny input moves a great deal. Like small, well-timed pushes building a swing, which is also why the calm or the agitation of whoever you sit beside slowly becomes your own. Rhythm. The steady beat of sleep, breath, and routine that stabilizes the whole system, where the 3 gunas are simply steady, erratic, or collapsed time, and where rhythm itself turns out to be medicine. And coherence. The difference between a scattered bulb and a laser whose waves all pull together. The difference between a self at war with itself, exhausted and half-blind, and a self whose thought, feeling, and action line up, energized and seeing truly. We catch these states from each other, which is why wise company and a coherent circle are not extras, but among the most practical supports there are. To go deeper, The full lesson 3.6 is available in the course Beginners, Conversations on the Mind in the Light of Modern and Spiritual Sciences, on the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center's website, www.vedanta.nz. It is also available as an app on Google Play and the Apple App Store by searching for Vedanta NZ. Next time, the body and the breath, the ground all of this stands on. Until then, be gentle with your mind.